Good evening, everybody. It's Charlie, and welcome back to another live stream on the Chatting Leeds YouTube channel. Hope everyone has had a great Sunday so far. Just before we get into tonight's stream in more detail, make sure that you are all smashing that like button. It really does help get the video out there to more people. Please subscribe to the channel if you are brand new and hit that notification bell. And of course, get all your thoughts and opinions and your frustrations and your rants all in the comment section down below, and I will be sure to flash them up on screen. And make sure that you're also checking out Josh Firth as well, the sponsor of the channel. His Etsy store and his Instagram links are both in the description for all your football graphic design needs. We are here this evening to discuss, to rant, to vent our frustrations, guys, at our first defeat of 2024 yesterday afternoon at the hands of Coventry City as Leeds United lose out 2-1. Very, very frustrating game, very frustrating performance. And, the signs, as the title of the video suggests, the signs have been there for a while that this was coming. But it's now, about how we move on from it and how we react on Tuesday night against Sunderland, which, that game now is amplified 100%, in importance, because I feel like if we'd have got through the game yesterday, then Tuesday and, even Saturday were down as probably routine wins or should be routine wins. Now they are proper intensified. And, it's a massive week for Leeds United's season, in my opinion. If other results go our way and, if we can get 6 points out of 6 this week now, then hopefully it will put us in good stead. But, a bad week and it could be playoffs for the Whites, which is crazy to say. Jay's in the building. Evening, mate. How we doing? So, yeah, look, where shall we start? Let's start with the lineup then, as we always do. I'll be honest, guys, I haven't made any notes or anything this evening. I usually make notes of what I'd like to discuss, but I feel like we'll end up down tangents over the next half hour or so anyway. So we'll get into the lineup first. Then I was happy with the lineup at first glance. I was happy to see Elia Gruev back in the starting 11 after he's obviously missed the last 2 games. And I was happy, to see Archie Gray back at right back and have the usual back four that's been doing so well of late. And yeah, even the attack, even with, Bamford and James, I was still happy with it because it has worked for Leeds United of late. And it was good to see Connor Roberts and Willie Gnonto return to the bench as well. But obviously, as we move into the game then, into the first half, I thought Leeds actually started off okay. So first sort of 5 minutes or so, we were having a lot of the ball. We had a few, half chances at least, where we were at least trying to move the ball forward quickly and try and put Coventry under pressure. And I was fairly happy with the opening stages. But then, obviously, look, their first goal, I mean, there is a lot wrong with it. There's a lot wrong with it. Firstly, why is Archie Gray not trying to clear that ball as it goes over Meslier? Instead, he's got his arm up in the air, trying to wave for a that it had gone out of play. Sorry, why? Secondly, how is nobody tracking the run of Ellis Sims? I thought he was offside when it first went in, but when you see the replay, he's miles on. I think Firpo is caught ball watching and doesn't track the run. And then thirdly, what's Illan Meslier doing? I feel like Illan Meslier should be anticipating that ball is going to come back across his box, and he should be anticipating to at least punch it out or flap it out, anything. Just get something on it, to clear that ball. But, he doesn't, and Ellis Sims gets his head on it, and it's 1-0 to Coventry on the 9th minute. Again, another frustrating defensive display from a set piece. Whether it's taking a set piece, defending a set piece, Leeds United just can't do it either or at the minute. And, it is frustrating because we have got players who can be an aerial threat, but we just don't take advantage of that at all. And then I felt from that, Coventry goal onwards for the remainder of that half, Leeds were by far second best. We weren't great at all. You would have thought that we were the team winning 1-0 with how we were passing it around from the back, how it was slow, boring again, predictable football as well. Firth, Kamara and Somerville on that left-hand side. You just know what passes are coming. Firth, Somerville, Kamara, back to Somerville, back to Kamara, Firth, Somerville, back to Firth, Kamara, Somerville. You just know what's going to happen every single time. And if it's predictable for us to see as fans, when Mark Robbins was preparing Coventry City for this game, he'll have said, look, don't worry about that, because that's what they always do. And why have we all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, it's been a common theme this season, but we might as well change our name to Walk It In FC, because we never shoot from outside of the box. We never take risks. It's the same football week in, week out. Now, I get it. It's worked for us for 95% of this season. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably since Leicester onwards, the football hasn't been great. Yes, we've only lost yesterday. But like I said, this has been coming with the performances that we've seen of late. It has. And, like I said, predictable football. So predictable. So Coventry could afford to drop 5 or 10 yards and just let Leeds United have the ball because they knew we weren't going to do anything with it. In both halves, Leeds United had the majority of the possession, but we weren't doing anything with it. Don't know about you guys, but it's really, really frustrating to watch at the minute. Evening, mate. How we doing? Man, this is hard going on here. 75 heads and only 67 subs. Yeah, it is a grind, mate, but you've just got to keep it going. Evening, Paul. Was at the game yesterday. Frustrating day at the office. Both goals were embarrassing. We conceded. Second one had you right on his own. But 2 home games to bounce back. Top 2 not over. No, it isn't over, mate. And I'm interested, Paul. What was the atmosphere like in the away end yesterday? Was there a lot of frustrating heads? Were the people losing their heads, saying that it's playoffs? Were we having meltdowns in the away end? What was the vibe in that away end? I know the 2 lads that I speak to that stand behind me in the South Stand, they were also there yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see what they say on Tuesday night. Didn't get to watch the game yesterday. I was out, but watching the highlights, and that was some shocking defending for the first goal. Jay, my friend, you did not miss anything. It was really, really bad. I think I'd rather have been out doing anything. Poking my eyes with a fork could have been probably more enjoyable than watching that yesterday. So don't worry, pal, you didn't miss anything. 0-0 goals from our midfield too this season. Yeah, exactly. Look, we're not saying that our midfielders should be prolific or anything like that, but at least a few goals to contribute. But it's all in the attack, and there's a few in the defence, but mainly in the attacking four, which, I wouldn't say is a worry, but it is a bit strange, in all honesty. Scott saying we should shoot. Look at Gray against Leicester. He did, and it got deflected in. Yeah, look, I would take an Ipswich Town deflection goal any day of the week. Any day of the week at the minute. Oh, in that game, sorry, that makes it sound like we can't score goals. We can. I think you play pro from now on. He's still a clinical finisher given the chances. Bamford is tired. Yeah, we'll come on to Bamford in a minute or two. I just want to get into the game first. We'll speak about the second half, and then we can speak about little different topics. Still feel we'll get top 2. Massive 6 points coming in this week. Yeah, look, again, we'll be discussing that in more detail as well. But moving on into the second half, obviously, Kamara was brought off. Obviously, Kamara played through illness on Monday night against Hull. And by the looks of his performance yesterday, he was still feeling the effects of that illness, because I thought it was very slow in transition. Very sluggish, not as press resistant as he's been for the majority of the season. And I thought he just had a general stinker once again. So he was brought off at half time. Gray was pushed into midfield, and we saw Connor Roberts come on at right back, which again I was happy with, but I did feel that other changes were needed. Look, someone spoke about Patrick Bamford. He missed that sitter in the first half. How has he not got on the end of that? You could argue Dan James could have anticipated more at the back post as well. But still, Pat Bamford for me yesterday, look, the hold-up play, the link-up play, his upper body strength, it just wasn't there. He just didn't look bothered. And I'm sure he was bothered, don't get me wrong, but his body language, how he was, the amount of effort that he was putting in was just minimal, in my opinion. And I would have personally taken him off at half time, but he didn't. He chose to keep him on. And within 3-4 minutes of the restart, Coventry City go 2 goals up. And I have to be honest, guys, you've got to call a spade a spade. He's been brilliant all season. But that goal, you've got to be looking at Joe Road on there. You have. How has Hadji Wright got all that space and has been left on his own in the box? It's a good ball in from Eccles, I believe it is, for Coventry. Great ball in. But how is Joe Rodon or Ethan Ampadu not anticipating that? And as he's footed it, because he didn't really shoot it, he kind of just touched it with his foot and it's trickling in. Why is Ethan Ampadu not trying to get back on his line to clear that? I'm not saying he would have done, but why is he not making that effort? And I think that's what was the most disappointing thing about the game in general yesterday, is the lack of effort, the lack of desire. Ipswich Town lost in the East Anglian derby. They lost against Norwich, which for me is the only positive to come out of yesterday, which keeps us in this race. Because if Ipswich Town had won, obviously Leicester beat Birmingham, as expected. It would have been more of a mountain to climb. It wouldn't have been over technically, but it would have been a lot harder. But the fact that they lost as well means that we are still within whiskers of that top 2. But yeah, look, the fact that we were, if we'd have won that game, we'd have gone top of the league. We would have gone top of the league. Yet we weren't playing like that at all. Now, obviously, Farke said in his post-match that the players were aware that Ipswich had lost, but he said it didn't have an impact on them. Of course it did. They were playing like nervous wrecks out there yesterday because they'll have known the importance of it. In a weird sort of way, it'd have probably suited us better if Ipswich had won. But because they lost and there was something to go at, I think we bottled that game yesterday. In terms of an isolated game, I did think we bottled it. But when the changes were made, once again, it improved. We saw Perot come on. We saw Mateo Joseph come on. We saw Nonto come on. Perot obviously pulls the goal back. Nice assist from Georgie Rutter, who I thought was quite poor in the game yesterday as well. Decision making, just not at it at all. Hold up play, not great. Holding onto the ball way too long in certain areas of the pitch. And, we just need to get I tweeted out yesterday morning, our key players need to be on it. But they weren't. They weren't yesterday. Somerville holding onto the ball way too long, trying to do everything himself. Weak as well. There were times just getting easily shrugged off of the ball. We need to wake up in these last 5 games and smell the roses. Because if we don't get 6 points this week, or bare minimum 4, we could be in the playoffs, guys. Let's put it that way. Peacock White says, hi all, hi mate, how are we doing? Julie's saying it's Arch, I agree, but apart from yesterday when we haven't played well and yet still kept winning, I'm going to say it's a sign of a good side. So if you don't agree. I do agree, Julie. However, the signs have been there for a while now, haven't they? The signs have been there for a while that the performances just haven't been great. And I'll be honest, I kind of had a feeling we would lose the game yesterday, but I did still feel that we could edge it. But I just had a feeling that it was going to be a banana skin, and it turned out to be. Paul's reaction from the away end, quite a lot of frustration in the away end afterwards. Missed a big opportunity, but let's see a reaction Tuesday. Would pick Nonto over James. Sunderland. Yeah, again, we'll be coming on to that in a little bit as well. Potential changes for Tuesday night. Nige, evening, mate. Still doesn't feel any better today. Massive opportunity missed. Yep, couldn't agree more. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Make sure that you are listening to Jay, a long time supporter of the channel. Appreciate that, Jay. There's 36 of you in the building. If you wouldn't mind smashing that like, it would be very much appreciated. And please subscribe to the channel if you are brand new. We're on the road to 3K, so if you could do that for me, it's completely free to do so. Obviously, if you can afford to, there is a join button on the channel as well, where you can join for £1.99 a month just to support the channel. But if not, you can just subscribe for free, and that will be more than enough for me. We pretty our pants. Yeah, it was a very nervy performance, especially second half. You could tell that it was getting to them a little bit. But, if we'd have managed to get a point, if Perot scores that late opportunity that he scuffs, unfortunately, if he puts that in, then we're on here speaking a little bit differently, aren't we? Because if we'd have drawn the game, I believe we would have still been in the top two. So, it is very, very fine margins in terms of the goal difference between us and Leicester. Obviously, Ipswich's goal difference is less than ours, so that's at least a good thing there. But, yeah, it's very fine margins at the minute. Chris is saying Borough, QPR and Southampton will be the key games. Yeah, potentially. But I think this week, 2 home games in a row, we need to be getting 6 points. Need to be, or a minimum, bare minimum 4. Bare minimum, we need 4 points. But ideally, we need 6. Borough will be a tough game away from home. It will. QPR as well. You just never know what QPR team are going to turn up. And if it comes down to the final day, look, Southampton are pretty much destined for playoffs now, aren't they? So it depends how they will approach that game. Will they want to rest key players for the playoffs? Or will they think, no, you know what? We'll bring you with us. Hopefully it doesn't go down to that game. But we will certainly see, won't we? I think we need 6 this week. We have to, yeah, of course. And, the fact that they're both at home and the home form this season has been pretty much perfect. That's what gives me the confidence that we will get 6 points this week. But, we really need, and again, I know it's results over performances at the minute, and I completely agree with that sentiment. However, we need to be seeing a bit more dominance now, especially at Ellen Road. The crowd needs to be behind us every single home game now. After this week, our next home game is Southampton on the final day. So it's mad that there's literally 5 games, 5 games left. And it's getting really tense and really nervy now. I watched that East Anglian derby yesterday like I was watching a Leeds United game. My stomach was turning. I was sweating. I had my T-shirt above my face like that every time Ipswich were on an attack. That's the stage of the season that we're at now. And, whether we like it or not, we need to just accept that this running is going to be tight now. I think we've known it for a while, but it's really starting to feel like it now. But what I hope, because we haven't lost, other than Chelsea in the Cup, we haven't lost a game since December. So it'll be interesting to see the mentality of this team now. Ethan Ampadu, in this post-match interview with LUTV, looked very annoyed, very disappointed, and he looked like a man that wanted to put this right. Let's hope the rest of the team are feeling like that as well. And I don't know. I've got a feeling that we will see a reaction on Tuesday, and they'll come out with a point to prove that they are still in this fight. And look, I'll be honest, I still back us for top 2. I think Ipswich's running is a lot harder. They've got Watford midweek at home, which they'll probably get through. But, they've still got to play Middlesbrough. They've still got to play Coventry. They've still got to play Hull. Coventry, as we know yesterday, are a very good side, and they could prove Ipswich some problems. Hull, look at how well they played against us. I know we beat them, but look at how well they played. They'll cause Ipswich a few issues as well. And Middlesbrough are just one of those teams that you don't know what version of them will turn up. Their running is much harder, much harder. And we'll get into some of your comments now because I am rambling a bit. Definitely, mate, we have it in our locker, but after the last few games, I think we may struggle. Hope I'm wrong. Yeah, but this is where Farke earns his coin. This is where the players need to prove themselves now, and turn this around. Playoffs can't go through that again. Was there for the Watford and Doncaster ones, and both legs against Millwall and Derby. Yeah, I was there for the Derby one. The Watford and Doncaster ones were a bit before my time. I wasn't properly into Leeds United at that age when we got to those finals. The ones against Millwall, again, I was just sort of getting into it, but not properly. But the Derby one is the only... The home leg against Derby in the playoffs is the only game that I've ever cried at. Because I was that upset. Agreed, Paul, yeah. Evening, Charlie, was so incensed what I was watching. I went for a 15-mile walk yesterday, bloody hell. If he goes down to the Southampton game, I'll have to take it. Yeah, look, and again, you can look at that Southampton game a few ways. If it depends on that game and we need to win it, then yeah, it's a lot more intense to say the least. But on the other hand, you can look at it and go, well, it's at home, and if we are unbeaten at home going into that game, I mean, how Leeds United would it be to lose the only game that we lose at home on the final day? But I would feel more confident going into it if we are still unbeaten at home, which I think we will be by the end of this week. Peacock, watch your earlier, Peacock. Thank you, bro. Little discussion going on in the chat there. We just need to concentrate on what we can control. We have to make reaction smash. Yeah, exactly. And, we do need to focus on ourselves 100%. But it's hard to not look at the other results, isn't it? But like you've said there, Jane, you're spot on. We definitely need a reaction. And I think we will see a reaction. We simply have to, otherwise we're out of this race. We could be very much out of this race at the end of this week if we are not on it and if we don't see a reaction. And I think the players will realise that, and they'll want to put it right in front of the home crowd. Badros is saying we play 4 times while they play 2 between now and 26th of April. We win those 4 games, pressure be on Ipswich. Yeah, exactly. And look, us and Leicester play Tuesday, Ipswich play Wednesday. So, if us and Leicester both win, then Ipswich are going to be thinking, God, we need to beat Watford. And hopefully Watford can do us a favour. And, they proved against us that they can play a bit and that they can cause teams problems. So, yeah. Dan James is in the chat. Oh, if I said Dan James, it's Don James. I was going to make a joke there about Dan James, but it's pointless now. Southampton won't want us in playoffs. I don't think we'd get them. If we finished 3rd and they were 4th, we would get Norwich at the minute. So I don't think I'd want Norwich in the playoffs, I know we've beaten them both times, but I don't think I'd want them. We have to play Joseph. Fed up of managers making excuses about experience if you're ordering. Yeah, let's speak about potential changes then quickly, just to end the video. Obviously, we'll have a brief look ahead to Sunderland on Tuesday. Now, Jack Clarke is back for them. He did play yesterday as they drew 0-0 at home to Bristol City. They're not in great form at all. They've won 1 game out of the last 5 or 6. So, it's a good time to be playing them. But obviously, Jack Clarke has just come back and, he's their main playmaker alongside Joe Bellingham. But yeah, look, like we've said, this on paper is a game Leeds United should definitely be winning comfortably. It probably won't be comfortably with the added pressure, but if we see a positive reaction, which I'm sure we will, I am confident that we will get through it. But changes that I would make, I would drop Glenn Kamara for this game. I'd put Archie Gray into the midfield alongside Gruev. And I'd put Connor Roberts at right back, especially if Jack Clarke is back. You want a more experienced right back who actually is a right back by trade to go up against Jack Clarke. I think he'd be able to handle him a lot better. I'd like to see Nonto come in for Dan James in this one as well. And I do think Bamford should be dropped. I think Bamford in recent weeks has gone back to default and started playing like his old self. The upper body strength just isn't there. The hold up play, the link up play, the anticipation in the box, it's just not there at the minute. And yes, Perot might not be the most natural of nines, but for a large spell of this season, we did play with Rutter as the 9 and Perot in behind. We may have to go back to that potentially, or if you want to keep Rutter in the 10 and put Perot up front, at least Perot is the more natural finisher and will pop up in the right place at the right time. He proved yesterday that, he is a cool finisher. When he took his goal quite well, it was a nice finish. And, like I've said, for a large spell of this season, we did have that and it did work. But I know Farker said he likes having Bamford up there for experience, but it needs to be Perot or Joseph that come in for Paddy. I'm sorry. Do I think he'll drop Paddy? Probably not. But I do think he should. I do definitely think he should. Nonto back in for James, Robertson at right back and play Gray centre mid. Yep, absolutely. Nonto in the 10, yes or no? I'm going to go no. I think he's more effective out wide. We have the same conversation every season about Bamford. He was 3 or 4 great games when he's in. Yeah, exactly. I thought he was really good for a good 6 or 7 games at the start of this calendar year. He was scoring goals, but again, if it's a meritocracy that we work upon in terms of team selection, then Perot or Joseph deserve to start at the minute over Pat Bamford. They've both scored in recent games. He hasn't. They're both having impacts in recent games, and he isn't. So, we definitely need to see changes going into Tuesday. But obviously, I will be back on the channel tomorrow night with my Sunderland preview, which will be a pre-record. So make sure that you tune in at 7 o'clock tomorrow, guys, where we will be. I'll be giving my thoughts on how I think the game will go in more detail. Really do appreciate everybody that has dropped into the chat this evening. We've had highs of 38 people in the chat tonight. There's 32 of you in the building as we speak. Please make sure that you are smashing a like on this stream on the way out. It really does help get the stream out there to more people. Please subscribe to the channel if you are brand new and get all your thoughts and opinions into the comment section if you're watching after the live stream ends. Make sure you're checking out Josh Firth's links, which are in the description for all your football graphic design needs. Like I say, guys, really do appreciate all the love and support. Let's hope that Leeds United, can get 6 points out of 6 this week. I'll be back live on Wednesday night for the last say on the Sunderland game. So hopefully we're all in a better mood. And I will see you then. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Cheers.